In the heart of Lagos, Nigeria, a city teeming with life, vibrant colors, and the tantalizing aromas of street food, stood a modest church known as the Christ-Light Fellowship. Its pastor, Pastor Ayo, was a man of deep faith and humble beginnings. With a voice that could soothe the troubled and inspire the weary, he became known for his passionate sermons and a miraculous ability to heal the sick. Week after week, the church's congregation grew as people flocked from far and wide, seeking not just spiritual solace but also physical restoration. However, hidden beneath the surface of his remarkable abilities lay a dark secret. Pastor Ayo's powers stemmed not from divine grace but from a perilous pact he had forged with an ancient mermaid named Olokun, who ruled the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. Her beauty was enchanting, with scales that shimmered like gemstones, and her voice was a haunting melody that echoed through the waves. Desperate to save his ailing mother, Ayo had been lured into a bargain he could barely comprehend. One fateful evening, after a long day of tending to his flock, Ayo found himself standing at the edge of Tarqua Bay. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the water, which began to ripple ominously. As the tide ebbed and flowed, whispers danced in the wind, luring him closer to the shoreline. Suddenly, the waters churned violently, and Olokun emerged, her beauty striking, yet unsettling. "You seek power, Pastor Ayo," she sang, her voice a blend of sweetness and danger. "I can grant you the ability to heal the sick, to bring hope to your people, but you must pay a price a piece of your soul." Ayo hesitated, but the memory of his mother's frail body haunted him. "What must I do?" he asked, his heart pounding. "Call for me when the moon is full," she replied, her eyes glinting with mischief, "and I shall grant your wish. But remember, each healing will take a toll on you. Each life saved will cost you a fragment of your essence." Desperation clouded his judgment, and without fully understanding the consequences, Ayo agreed, sealing a bond that would alter his life forever. As weeks turned into months, Pastor Ayo's fame spread like wildfire throughout Lagos. Stories of miraculous healing circulated, drawing in crowds from distant villages and towns. The sick, the blind, and the lame sought his touch, and with every healing, Ayo felt a rush of power. However, each time he called upon Olokun's magic, he felt an unsettling sense of loss, as if a part of his spirit was being siphoned away. His church transformed into a sanctuary, a beacon of hope in a city often overshadowed by despair. The faithful gathered in droves, their hearts filled with hope, as they witnessed the remarkable transformations that unfolded during his services. Yet, the more he healed, the more he felt an inexplicable pull towards the ocean, as if Olokun were beckoning him to reclaim what he had surrendered. One fateful day, a young girl named Ify was carried into the church by her distraught mother. Bedridden for months due to a severe illness, Ify was a mere shadow of her former self. Her mother, tears streaming down her cheeks, begged Pastor Ayo for help. "Please, Pastor, she is all I have." Ayo looked into Ify's sunken eyes, filled with a flicker of hope. The familiar tug of Olokun's power surged within him, and against his better judgment, he laid hands on the girl. A warm, golden light enveloped them both, and within moments, Ify sat up, laughter erupting from her lips as she realized she was healed. But as the church erupted in joyous praise, Ayo staggered back, clutching his chest. A sharp pain pierced through him, as if a piece of his very soul had been torn away. He felt the weight of his choices pressing down on him, but the jubilant cries of his congregation drowned out his inner turmoil. That night, unable to find peace, Ayo stood at the water's edge, the moon casting a silvery glow on the ocean's surface. "Olokun," he called out, his voice trembling with fear and anger. "I need to speak with you." The waters churned violently, and the mermaid emerged, her expression a mix of fury and delight. "You have done well, Pastor Ayo. The people adore you, but you are losing yourself. You must fulfill your end of the bargain." "I cannot continue at this cost," Ayo shouted, his voice rising above the sound of crashing waves. "I am losing myself with every healing." Olokun's eyes sparkled with mischief, her lips curling into a sly smile. "You knew the price. Each healing costs you, and soon you will be nothing but a shell. But fear not. I can extend your life and your powers if you agree to one final sacrifice." "What do you want?" Ayo asked, dread pooling in his stomach. "A soul. Someone of great importance to you. Bring me this soul, and I will grant you eternal power." Returning to his church, Ayo was haunted by the choice he faced. Who could he sacrifice? The thought of harming an innocent soul filled him with dread. He watched families flourish because of his healings, yet the cost weighed heavily on his conscience. As he prepared for a Sunday service, he felt Olokun's presence lurking in the shadows of his mind, urging him to make a choice. Days turned into weeks, and Ayo wrestled with his conscience. He watched his congregation grow, their faith in him unwavering, yet he felt increasingly isolated. The guilt of his pact gnawed at him, threatening to consume him. Each night he prayed for guidance, seeking forgiveness for the dark bargain he had struck. One evening, as he prepared for a particularly challenging service, Ayo stood before the congregation. He looked into their hopeful eyes and felt a surge of love for his community. He was their shepherd, yet he was also their captive, bound by a pact that threatened to destroy him from within. Finally, one night, after a grueling day of healings, Ayo stood at the shoreline once more, ready to confront Olokun. "I refuse to sacrifice anyone. I would rather lose my powers than harm an innocent life." The mermaid emerged, her beauty twisted by rage. "Foolish mortal! You think you can defy me? You have already lost so much. You cannot turn back." "I will find another way," he declared, determination igniting within him. "Then face the consequences," she hissed, her voice echoing through the night. "You will suffer, Pastor Ayo. Your powers will dwindle, and soon you will be nothing." With that, she vanished beneath the waves, leaving Ayo standing alone, his heart heavy with despair. The next day, as he began to preach, he felt weaker, his touch no longer able to heal. Panic gripped him as he realized the truth. He was losing his miraculous gifts. Days passed, and Ayo found himself in a battle against despair. Without his powers, the church began to dwindle. The faithful, once so fervent, now questioned his ability to lead. Yet, in his darkest moments, he found solace in prayer. He sought strength from God, asking for forgiveness for the pact he had made with Olokun. One night, as the moon shone brightly over the ocean, Ayo returned to the shore. "I am ready to face the consequences of my actions," he proclaimed, his voice steady and resolute. "I will not bow to darkness any longer." As he stood there, the waves began to churn, and Olokun rose from the depths, her eyes filled with fury. "You cannot escape your fate." "I choose redemption," Ayo replied, his voice unwavering. "I will not harm another soul for my power. I will heal with love and faith, even if it means I lose everything." The moment he uttered those words, a blinding light enveloped him, illuminating the beach. Ayo felt a surge of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was not the dark power of Olokun, but a divine light, washing over him like a cleansing wave. The mermaid shrieked, her form twisting in rage as the light surrounded her. "No!" she screamed. "You cannot defy me!" But Ayo, filled with newfound strength, continued to pray. "I renounce our pact. I choose to walk the path of righteousness." With those declarations, the light intensified, and with a final cry, Olokun was pulled back into the depths of the ocean, her power diminished, and her hold on Ayo severed. As dawn broke, Ayo found himself alone on the beach, exhausted but free from the weight of his dark pact. He felt lighter, as though a great burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Though he no longer possessed the miraculous powers he once had, he was filled with a profound sense of peace. Returning to his church, Ayo shared his story with his congregation, recounting the dangers of seeking power at any cost and the importance of faith and love. The people listened, captivated by his honesty and vulnerability. They saw not just a pastor, but a man who had battled darkness and emerged stronger. Though his healings were no longer miraculous in nature, Ayo discovered new ways to support his community. He organized health fairs, partnered with local clinics, and encouraged people to care for one another. The church transformed into a hub of hope and unity, built not on the foundation of dark powers, but on genuine love and compassion. In time, Pastor Ayo learned that true healing came not from extraordinary powers, but from everyday acts of kindness and faith. He witnessed the fruits of his labor as his congregation flourished, their bonds growing stronger. As the sun set over Lagos, casting a warm glow over the bustling city, Pastor Ayo stood before his congregation, filled with gratitude. He realized that he was no longer a man shackled by the weight of a dark bargain, but a beacon of hope, guiding his people towards a brighter future. Through love, community, and unwavering faith, Ayo had found redemption. He understood that true power lay not in the ability to heal the sick, but in the strength to uplift those around him, to walk beside them in their struggles, and to inspire them to believe in the light that resides within each of them.